Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Got JJ Carroll on with us today. He's got a little sound problems, microphone or something, so he's working on that. I'm going to go ahead and introduce him now and talk about some of his work. I've had him on before. He's really, he knows what's going on the border, and we're looking forward to having him on. So Carroll's unique perspective on border issues is from years as a frontline journeyman agent to a senior leader in the United States Border Patrol. Carrol uses his experience to articulate who has created this disaster situation on the border, how these policies are being enacted, and why these intentional policies are being implemented. In his Amazon bestseller books, Invaded and Treason. So I've listened to Treason, I've read it, listened to it. It's a fantastic book. He's talked about it in the last show. He's going to talk about it today, and hopefully, JJ, you got your technical issue worked out.
I'm hoping I will make it through it just fine. How you doing today, man?
Very good, very good. Very excited to have you on again. So a little bit introduction. Now you have a couple documentaries too. You got books, you got documentary. We'll play those documentaries a little bit later. You can comment on them from your website. They look really good. I'm gonna sign up for them. It looks really great. So tell us a little bit about what's up right now, what you're up to, and what's going on in your opinion.
Well, in my opinion, I believe that the border, what Donald Trump's done on the border, has been nothing short of miraculous. I'm looking at the numbers for July. They are zero releases. And I want your audience to understand, prior to Trump coming into office, when Biden was, we didn't release anybody. Everybody was deported. There was some immigration action taken. No one was released ever. It's against the Immigration Nationality Act. And when you look at what they did in July, less than, I think it's 4,400 arrests across the southwest border. There's 2,000 miles. That's 113 like a day, 130 people a day, something like that, something ridiculous. No one's crossing. The problem and where the rubber meets the road is Donald Trump's deportation in the interior. The arrest and deportation is inefficient. It's not working. It's not enough numbers. Let me give you an example. June numbers. July hasn't come out yet. 30,000 people were arrested and deported. That sounds like a large number. It's not a large number when you push it up against 50 million. And that's how many legal aliens we have in America. There are whispers, and this is how they always start. There's whispers that the real number is 60 million. I'm going to sit tight on the 52, 53 million. So 30,000 is just not going to do it.
Wow. Yeah, the numbers that you talked about in your book, and things have obviously changed with no longer we have Biden. We have Trump that has really, like you said, done a miraculous job turning everything around. So yeah, the numbers are still incredible as far as like the trafficking, and you talked about that. Has anything happened with all those children in trafficked? Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. Have they found some of them and returned them, or what's going on with that?
Well, only 13,000 have been located. 13,000, okay? 442 people have been arrested already for child trafficking, either labor trafficking or sex trafficking. 442 out of 13,000. Now, each one of those 442 just didn't have one child. It's not one sponsor and one child, and therefore there's one sexual crime being committed. No. These people were getting 10, 50, 100 kids. I don't know if your audience can fully grasp what the evil is. Joe Biden allowed in 550,000 children to come into America, release them into America to cartels, and they can't find them. And where I'm having the biggest problem, though, right now, is there doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency. If I was the president, or I had a chance to talk to him for 30 seconds about this topic, I would say to him, sir, where is the urgency? We just trafficked 550,000 children. I'd be very comfortable going in front of Congress and saying this number is 1 million to 1.5 million. And there's no urgency. There's no task force. There's no nothing. Now, everything that I wrote in my book, Treason, and what I did in my latest documentary, What is Treason Traffic, about the children being trafficked in America, RFK Jr. came out under oath and stated exactly what I did, what I put in the documentary over a year ago, that the United States federal government is the largest child sex trafficking organization in modern history. He almost quoted me word for word. And then he said the quiet, dirty secret out loud. It's not 320,000 children missing. It's over 500,000.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So I guess I get some kind of microphone problem going on too. How does that sound on your end? Some people are saying in the chat that it's bad or whatever.
Yeah, I'm hearing myself in double as well, and your voice is going in and out.
Dang. So I don't know. Maybe they're like hijacking us, but we'll press through and see what we do.
Okay.
The the child trafficking, 500,000. I haven't heard those numbers before. So where are all these children? Where do you think they went? Have they been disappeared forever, or what do you think?
That's a great question. Now, just to make sure your audience knows that this 500,000 number is something that I came out with and said, this is factually true. I went in front of Congress in November and stated the same thing under oath. 550,000 kids were brought into America knowingly we're going to turn them back over to the cartels, and they were lost. RFK Jr. came out, I want to say about less than a month ago, testified in front of Congress that yes, the number is over 500,000 children have been trafficked and lost, and he actually went further and said his predecessor, who was Javier Becerra, the Secretary of HHS, was trafficking children. That is an unbelievable allegation, and yet nothing is done. And I'm going to quote President Trump, and I believe he's true, when he said a lot of these children are already dead. And to be quite honest with you, my prayer is that a lot of these children are already dead, because the suffering, the pain and suffering they're going through now is beyond horrific. They're never going to be whole again. They're done. And our government did this. And I know it's hard for your audience or many people to understand the magnitude of this, that when you look at Epstein, P. Diddy, you look at the fact that we are the #1 consumer of child pornography in the world. We're one of the top nations on planet Earth that pays money to rape children. We are the problem. We are the government. And our government brought in basically a buffet for pedophiles. Every race, ethnicity, skin tone, eye color, you name it. Now the pedophiles have their choice. It's no longer black, white, maybe some Hispanics. Now it's whatever you want. And our government did this.
Wow, that's incredible. Let's you want to look at this trailer real quick?
Sure.
You got two of them. We'll watch this one, and we'll watch the second one. Let everybody get a little taste.
I'm going to take you on a journey that's going to prove that Joe Biden's administration are traitors, and they have committed treason against America. I only have one question for you, but before I ask that question, I want to take you back in time. We're going to transport everyone back to January 19th, 2021, the day before Joe Biden takes office. And I'm going to stand before you, and I'm going to say I came from the future, 4 years from now, and I'm going to tell you what this man's going to do. First day in office, he is going to sign 94 executive orders to eviscerate every immigration policy Donald J. Trump has put into effect. He will take a border that was the most secure border in American history and turn it on its head. Within 4 years, Joe Biden will have arrested over 12 million people. 250,000 of them will be special interest aliens, which in other words, in layman's terms, terrorists. They will be arrested and released. Since the time he's become president in the 4 years, Joe Biden prove it to you. The question I have after all of this has been done, if everything I tell you is the truth, and it is, do you call Joe Biden a patriot or a traitor?
Wow, that looks really good. So, this is, so everybody that's watching, you can go to thisistreason.com and watch these two trailers. I'll put the links in the description box, and you can sign up for these and watch the full documentaries. So, highly recommend, as I am, you guys go check it out. So, tell us about that documentary. It looks fantastic. It's basically outlining everything that you've been talking about for years now, and exposing. Is treason going to happen for Joe Biden? Is treason going to happen for Obama, for Hillary? What do you think?
Everything that I did in that documentary, as I'm watching that trailer play out, I've seen it a million times, but it hit me harder now because every single thing that I put in that documentary with my business partner, Ryan Matta, is come factually true. Everything that Donald Trump has done through the Doge, through his executive actions, everything he has done has professionally validated every single thing I put in these documentaries with Ryan Matta and put in my books. USAID, our government used that mechanism to fund all the international NGOs to bring 30 million people to the border, and then through DHS, laundering the money through FEMA, paid the NGOs to move 30 million people into America, not 10 million like Fox News tell you, not 18 million the federal government tells you, 30 million. Donald Trump right now has admitted the federal government brought in 22 million. I know you can just bump it up to 30. That's the true number. That's what your government did to you. And do I believe anyone's going to be arrested? No, I don't. I don't think Donald Trump has the desire to arrest all these people. And I just don't understand why not. I don't. And I had this discussion with somebody the other day when they said, "You think this is treason?" Like they were like questioning me. And I said, "What do you call it when you open your borders intentionally to let 30 million people come in?" And I said, let's not even say 30 million. Let's say let's believe the government, because the government never lies to us, right? Never. So they say it's 18 million. Are you okay with that? And then they push back and say, well, I don't know if it's intentional. And I said, well, okay, who are you going to believe? You're going to believe CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, or a guy that was physically there as a senior leader? My last year in the patrol was Joe Biden's first year. I witnessed it all happen. I'm an expert on the Immigration Nationality Act and DHS policy and law. Who are you going to believe? You think I'm just doing this and telling you this just because I want to make friends with you? Or do you think I'm just telling you the truth? And this is the frustration I have, is when if I was going to talk to somebody about monetary policy, for example, and I wasn't the expert and they were, don't you think at least I would give that guy some credibility and listen to him instead of pushing back and going, no, I don't know. So I'm telling you, the federal government did this on purpose. I watched Donald Trump, has to be 3 weeks now, give a speech. And you know how he likes to go off the cuff. So he said something, and I rewound it because I wanted to see if he was looking at the teleprompter or he came off the cuff. And he wasn't. He was looking right at the teleprompter, and he said, what Joe Biden did to this country in 4 years was treason. Well, if you believe that, sir, then there's justice that has to be attached to your allegations. And I'm telling you, and I swear on oath when I went in front of Congress, I wrote in my books, and I will not retract anything, Alejandro Mayorkas and Joe Biden should be arrested for treason because they destroyed the sovereignty of America. They put a ticking time bomb inside America called a demographic time bomb, and they're going to destroy America if we do not remove these people from our country.
Well, looks like they're going to destroy America. So continue operations. Yeah, I don't understand either. It's pervasive. the amount of judicial corruption that's out there.
Mhm.
I've been to Washington D.C. to one of the J6 trials. It was a sham, complete sham. Thank God that President Trump came in and basically pardoned all those people. So when you see 1,200 people, innocent, most of them, maybe 1% or less, really did a crime, and they were put in jail for long periods of time, and destroyed, their lives destroyed. Do you think they're going to come after Joe Biden? No, I don't think so. It doesn't look like it. I don't see where it's going to happen. So let's say they impeach him. I don't know how this actually works. Let's say they impeach Joe Biden, and then they try him as a citizen. They do it in D.C. The D.C. people are just going to come in and not convict him. They're all corrupt too. They completely believe in the Democrat system, which is destroying America. I don't know how we get over this. Maybe we need to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And I know people don't want to, and I don't want this to happen either. But when you constantly or continually ignore the American people, you abuse the justice system. Nobody is held accountable for heinous crimes. Then there will come a time, maybe it's not my lifetime, maybe it's my son, I hope it's not, maybe it's his children, will rise up and take over the government, take over our country. Like Thomas Jefferson said, he didn't say, well, you maybe should, maybe. He said, no, you have a moral obligation when your government becomes tyrannical. And are you telling me that our government's not tyrannical? Is somebody going to try to have that conversation with me? I can't get on social media. I can't get on certain platforms because I'm too conservative. We don't have free speech. Republicans and Democrats continue to allow them to do it. You've stolen our money. You gave us an federal income tax that's never been ratified. You sent trillions of dollars, trillions with a T. We can't even wrap our brain around this. Trillions of dollars to the Middle East and to Europe when we're corrupt. Our whole system is corrupted. And why I get so passionate about this is because in my world that I lived in for 24 years, it was about law and order and justice. And then somewhere in the middle of my career, I realized there's no justice. This is all kabuki theater, all of it. The U.S. attorneys and the district attorneys pick and choose what cases they want. They're cutting deals on political issues. There's no lady with a blindfold trying to be fair and unbiased. That does not exist. And if somebody comes up and tells me one more time, well, there's just two tiers of justice. No. If there's not just one tier of justice, there's no justice. And if you're going to try to convince me that when pedophiles are walking, elite pedophiles are walking around, people that go to Congress for $174,000 a year are worth $250 million. You have people that have done heinous things, treason, the Russian hoax, all kinds of lies, and nobody goes to jail. You know what? I've had it. We don't live in a republic anymore. I absolutely believe that. I believe we live in a tyrannical, quasi-democracy crap that it's a Frankenstein. It's not even a republic anymore.
No doubt. And to get people even more fired up, and we need to get fired up because I think we've got to do it. Many of us have been talking for years how we, the people, have to get involved. And we are seeing that that's maybe what Donald Trump is trying to push us towards. Now let's go back to that. That's staggering right there. If I can find that again, right there. 80% of women and children are raped migrating to America. That's staggering. How can we let this continue?
Well, and this is not my numbers. This isn't. I wasn't crunching the numbers to come up with this. Where I got that number was from LifeWave and right-wing organizations that came out down in the Darien Gap, from the Darien Gap all the way to the border fence. So we're talking IOM, United Nations, Red Cross, every liberal group you can think of, and conservative groups. 60 to 80% of every single woman and child that crossed the border was raped or sexually assaulted. This number's not even questioned. The question is it 60 or 80%? And our government opened the borders, created safe mobility offices, that's Orwellian speak, for processing centers all across Central America that you, the federal taxpayer, paid to build. Physical brick and mortar buildings that we pushed children and women through, knowing that we were creating the situation where 6 to 8 women and children were being raped and sexually assaulted that crossed the border. Our government did this. Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of DHS, was caught flying down into the middle of the Darien Gap jungle in April of 2022. This isn't, you can't make this stuff up. This is treason. You have Alejandro Mayorkas went on multiple Sunday afternoon shows, and he boasted, he bragged that, yeah, I set up all these places. I built these safe mobility offices across Central America in order to facilitate the movement of millions of people. And I just sat there watching it. I wrote in my book, and I was like, can I give you any more evidence? U.S. government, U.S. attorneys, can I, as a guy outside of the system, give you any more evidence for you to do your effing job and arrest him? He's admitting to robbing the bank. Can we at least look at him for crimes? I mean, just look. But we don't, because our system's so corrupted.
Wow. So we have Sean Ryan, another Navy SEAL guy. So where we're out here trying to, like, inform everybody. He had Michael Yan, former Green Beret, on that talked about the Darien Gap, and he had video and pictures of it. It used to be a little trail through the jungle, and they turned it into almost a highway.
Mm-hmm.
So they were really focused on getting people here for a while. So let's watch the last little bit of this. So I love this. Death penalty for raping a child in all 50 states. We really need to do it. All right, so right there, United States, the United States government is running the world's largest child trafficking network. So we see this, we know this. How is this possible?
Well, let's go back to, just for a second, to, you said Michael Yan. He's somebody I would say is a friend, a colleague of mine.
Nice.
He was one of the first guys that were down in Darien Gap with his drones, taking all the footage. And it was a super highway of all of the evil countries, because what Colombia and other countries did is they removed their visa waiver programs. So now every stand, every Middle Eastern country, every nation in continent Africa was able to fly into Colombia, cross over, and walk into America. And let me explain to you how I can further explain how the federal government did this on purpose. Do you know, because the border shut down, do you know how much percentage-wise the Darien Gap has slowed down? It's not 50%. It's not 90. It's 99.8%.
Wow.
Shut down, because our federal government does not facilitate the movement of people. Alejandro Mayorkas did this. Now, how do you shut down child sex trafficking? Well, the first thing you do is you shut the border down, what Donald Trump has done. Are they still getting through? Yeah, because the appetite to rape children is so great in America that we're demanding it. But we have 550 to a million, probably 2 million children here, foreign nationals, not talking about our own children. God forbid we focus on our children. But because we created such an evil sin, a stain on the soul of America, we have 550,000 children that we can't find. Try just for a second to understand. Look, I have a pen in my hand. Okay, I lose my pen in my room somewhere, in my studio. I'll go crazy trying to find my pen, right? But I know it doesn't have legs, it's not moving. No one's trying to rape my pen. No one's trying to make it work in a meatpacking plant at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, can you imagine this pen is a person, and I told you I lost it. It's a 5-year-old boy from Guatemala. What do you mean you lost him, JJ? Where the hell is he? Did you leave him? Did you leave him in the grocery store? I don't know. He's just gone. Now, what if I told you 550,000 little ones are gone? Let me put it into a better context for you. Football's about to start, right? Everyone's excited. Michigan, the big house, holds 100,000 people. Gigantic stadium. I want you to think in your brain right now, the giant Michigan stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I want you to look at 6 of them, not 1, 6. And I want you to imagine those 6 stadiums filled with children that are babies, infants, to 17 years old, almost 600,000 of them, jammed into a stadium. And then I want you to snap your fingers and they're all gone. And no one knows where they are. Try to wrap your brain around that. Try to understand how sick Joe Biden, Mayorkas, Kamala Harris, and the pedophile evil of the Democrat Party is, and how evil the Republican Party was for 2 solid years under Speaker Johnson that funded it all. Funded it all.
Wow. Staggering. Staggering when you put it like that. Now, I've had people on that have talked about how their own children were raped in the system, and they were trying to, like, expose it, and the medical institute, their child. This one woman said, my son, they contacted me for years. I've been telling them that their father, every time he had visitation rights, so she had fought that for years. This is a rich man from a rich family, and she's barely making it after they got divorced. So he's getting visitation rights for his child that was forced by the judicial system, and the sheriff and the deputies in the town, and then the hospital, because he would go to the hospital over and over again from having been raped from his father and his gang or whatever it was. And she's trying to, like, push back on it, trying to tell them, child services, everything. No one would help her in her town. And she was surprised. And then finally she gets the call, and her son is dead in the hospital from having been raped. And that's just one. Imagine, like, you're talking 600,000 like that.
That we know about.
Jeez.
That we know about. And I think this is a great point, what you're saying, because I would like to just have your audience think about this. We have the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, the DHS, CBP, Border Patrol, CIA. We have everything to cover basically every crime or criminal activity on face of the earth except one. We don't have an agency that protects children. And our children go missing at a rate of 400 to 800,000 a year. Let me repeat that. 400 to 800,000 children a year go missing. This is U.S. federal government numbers. And let's just say we're going to use the bottom end, okay? 400,000. Let's say the government's wrong. Let's say there's 400,000, but they're 90% are runaways. And the runaways come back, we reunite them with their family or CPS or something like that. There's still 40,000 children we can't find. 40,000. Let's say that the government's 99% wrong. It's just 4,000 children. 4,000 children went missing last year, and nobody gives a crap. No one asked for it. No one says, well, wait a minute, where's John? He's 6 years old. John can't walk around. He's not getting on an airplane. He's not buying a bus ticket. Where in God's name is little Johnny at 6 years old? I don't know. All right, let's keep moving on. Let's give some more money to Ukraine. Okay, that sounds good. I honestly, listen, when I went and did this documentary, I did it called What is Treason Invaded? About the border. I had no idea the level of child sex trafficking. So much so that my business partner, Ryan Maddai, had to create 2 documentaries out of one. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of filming. And guess what? We couldn't believe it. We were like, dear God, everything revolves around child sex trafficking. All of this is about child sex trafficking. And when I talk to and interview all the guys with the alphabet letters after their name, they all told me something. They said, JJ, you need to understand that the problem is that there's a significant percentage of the politicians and the elites that are pedophiles, and the ones that aren't know who the pedophiles are. They remain silent, so therefore they're complicit, and around and around and around we go. Ask yourself just a very easy question. Why have we not seen anything on Jeffrey Epstein? Nothing. Zero. Maxwell is sitting in a prison for trafficking children to ghosts. If she's in jail, that means she had to traffic children to people, and those people had to have sex with those children. Who are those people that had sex with those children? We don't know. Wait, okay, time out. How do we not know? I put in my documentary with General Flynn was in my. I just took a clip from him from a podcast he was in somewhere at the very end of 2023, and General Flynn just said it out loud. And I think sometimes when you get engrossed in this world and you get engrossed in lawlessness and evil, that it just becomes second nature. You become desensitized. Like I just am desensitized to it. And he said out loud, this isn't some conspiracy nut. This is the guy that was in charge of the DNI. Said, yeah, there are congressmen and senators that go overseas abroad and have sex with children. No, 2 things are wrong with that. Number 1, no one has sex with children. Children can't consent, so therefore it's rape. And number 2, who the hell are these people? I need the names, like now. No. Nobody did a follow-up question. I just left the Border Patrol, and I was just starting in media. And I still am, a nobody. But I was a Border Patrol agent, asking a simple question of, hold on a second. Wait a minute, Mr. General Flynn, who I have great respect for. General Flynn, who are these people? No one asked. No one asked the former DNI, hold on a second. You just said there's congressmen and senators raping children. Of course this is true. Of course it is. Watch these politicians when they're questioned about Jeffrey Epstein. Go back, have your audience go back this last, probably 3 days ago. What is that lady on CNN? A really vicious, mean, disgusting lady. I think Caitlin is her name. She's interviewing Bernie Sanders, and she asked Bernie Sanders, what do you think about Maxwell and Epstein? And he looks like he just saw a ghost. I mean, he's a disgusting human being, Bernie Sanders. And he just looked like he saw a ghost, and he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, hold on a second, Bernie Sanders. What do you mean you don't know what we're talking about? That's all anybody's talked about. Or Mr. Senator, are you one of those guys? Are you one of those guys that are involved in pedophilia? Either you're acting as a pedophile, or you know because you've been there for, 40 years? So you know who the pedophiles are. We live in I believe that we live in one of the sickest sexually perverse times in the history of mankind. And people say, well, you're a Christian, you don't believe in Sodom and Gomorrah. And I'd say, okay, Sodom and Gomorrah, biblically, they could not have had that many people living in Sodom and Gomorrah. Just by sheer numbers in America, we dwarf Sodom and Gomorrah. God wiped Sodom and Gomorrah off the face of the earth. What the hell you think he's thinking right now, looking down on us as we're raping his children ad nauseum? and you mentioned it, and I'm going to follow up on it. You said that the person that you were talking about, the woman, the mom, and her son went, and he was basically raped to death. That's happening every day, guys. Children are. I try to understand what you just said and what I'm trying to articulate. Do you understand that phrase, raped to death? Can you? It's not like we bludgeoned the child to death like a club. That's horrific, right? No. You had sexual intercourse, rape with a child so many times that you killed them. I don't know much more how more powerful you or I can make this case that we have this disgusting evil in our world and nobody gives a crap. It shocks me. It just really shocks me. No one cares. No one cares. You know when they care? When it's your child. That's when people start to go, well, where is everybody? Well, everyone's been silent because no one wants to say it out loud. And if you don't think there's a connection between Epstein, P. Diddy, and people that go to Congress and they do a 180 on not what they're promising, they go a 180 from their values. People that know them, they're like, these are Christians, a good Christian man. And then he votes for Planned Parenthood. He votes for war in Ukraine. He votes for bombing of Iran, bombing of everybody. Wait a minute. You didn't run on that. Well, who got to you? And that's the world we live in. We live in a world of propaganda, lies, and coercion and blackmail. I really believe that.
Yeah, no question about it. There's many people out there that are causing this. Like you said, you and I can look at another professional and see they're a professional, and then we can see someone as a bullshitter. The same thing that's happening with all these people in Congress and the Senate, and all these people know who is involved, like you said, and the military, the three-letter agencies. We knew we can see it, but we're unable to act on it. So someone somehow has to start this process outside of this system. I don't know how that's going to start. What are your thoughts on that? It's very frustrating.
I like this conversation where you're leading it, because I believe there's going to be a time, and I think we're past the crossroads, and I would love to hear your perspective. Because when I'm asked this, I like to push it back on the host, because I want to know where you're at, because there's sometimes that we get in a loop in our own brain and we're researching things, and then you have to pull back and you have to ask, am I off a little bit? Like, because I'm sure you do. I have the same thing. I have call them lifelines where I'll call my buddies and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Do you think I'm off? Like I'm submersed in it. I need someone from the outside. Look, no, you're absolutely right. I believe, and I don't want this to happen. Like, if there's some violent revolution, America may stand, but she'll never be the same. She just won't be the same. But I don't know how you get back to America now. I think we're too far gone. I think the only way that we get back is we have to burn our institutions to the ground. And I get a lot of pushback on that. But my retort to that is, okay, then why don't you tell me how we're going to get back to men can't have babies, transgenderism insane, the family's the nuclear and the smallest unit, the most important unit in our society, that politicians can't be millionaires making $174,000 a year, and on and on and on, without burning the buildings to the ground. And I don't see anyone that has the courage to do that. So it will have to be the people. So my question back to you is, and I'm asking this just from a guy that's been there and done it, I'm asking you, do you think I'm off? I'm asking for a reality check, like on live. Do you think I'm off on this, or do you agree with it, or are we somewhere in the middle?
The system's FUBAR. So we the people have to, on the civic side, we have to start to, and this has actually happened in Russia. So during the Soviet Union times, they had this situation like we have now. So I think they were infiltrated by this evil, dark cabal, and then the Russian people threw them off. So now Russia is free from the cabal for the most part. Of course, cabal is everywhere. So they basically started their own civic activity where they started doing trials on their own, and then they were letting the other justice finally get involved. It's like, okay, now that you guys have done this, we can get involved because at our level, it was too corrupt. We could not do it. So I think that on the civic side, we have to do this. That I think this is the only way it gets done. This conversation, I've had this conversation with other people. You are an expert in your field, way beyond what most people are. And you're saying the same thing. So I think somehow, some way, we have to do the same system that the Russians did. And that's how they stopped their child trafficking, because they had it just as bad as we do right now during the Soviet Union timeframes. So we need to move. We need to go in that same direction.
Well, okay, let's broaden it out then. So if you look at child sex trafficking and pedophilia, I believe that just is. I think that's the currency. That's the currency of amongst the elites, and I believe that's the currency of our intel agencies to manipulate and blackmail people that come into position of authority and power. I believe that. But the whole system, the entire system, the FBI, the CIA, the president, all the congressmen, senators, the national education, the pharmaceutical and the medical industry, our finances. And when you start to understand how the Federal Reserve got created and that there's bankers running our government and they've destroyed our dollar. Dollar's worthless. It's meaningless. People that have $1 million, remember 10 years ago, $1 million was a big deal. Now $1 million is like, yeah, well, that's wonderful. Okay, well, hold on a second. You know how hard it is to save or earn $1 million? And now you're telling me it's not a big deal? Well, because it's worthless. When you look at everything, and you realize that you are a host and the elites are parasites and they're living off of you. They're sucking you dry. I drive down roads. I live in a very nice part of middle America. But I have roads that are pieces of garbage. Hospitals that don't work. Airports that suck. We don't even have the right software or hardware for aviators. Planes are hitting each other. But we just built airports galore in the Middle East, hospitals, neighborhoods, schools that have been totally devastated. $8 to $9 trillion in two and a half decades. Can anyone wrap their brain around what $1 trillion is? We could have repaved every street in America, every interstate, rebuilt every hospital, every airport, every school, and still had money over to give back to the American public, but we didn't. We didn't. We taxed us to oblivion. You printed money out of thin air, and you gave it away, to NGOs, international NGOs, in order to bring the money back, and your spouses were on the boards of NGOs making millions of dollars, and that's the mechanism you use to launder money. So I'm back to you again. Is it a violent revolution? Or maybe the better question is, when does America and Americans say, all right, I'm beyond my limit. I'm ready to go. I know it's a dirty word because the left made it dirty, but it's not. Our founding fathers absolutely believed in it. Malicious. When are men, particularly men, I blame it all on the men, not the women, I blame it on the men. When are the men going to rise up and say, all right, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, whatever, we got a militia. We're going to have 100,000 regiment militia. And then other states do that. Do you think that could ever happen? I think that's the only way. I really, really believe that's the only way. And let me just throw this out there, and I want to get your opinion on this because of your background. What if, just think of this, you don't need millions of men, okay? And history's shown you don't need millions of men. What if there was 1,000 men? I live in Kansas. Let's say there's 1,000 men, former law enforcement, military, accountants, I don't care. 1,000 men that got together, like physically got together, not Zoom called, physically got together and swore an oath on God and country that I have your back. When they come for you, I'm going to be there. They got to come to me. And then when the FBI, the rogue FBI, or your local police and sheriff go and raid your house, and because you have people inside the FBI and the sheriffs, we're tipped off. And we show up, all 1,000 of us. And now I got 1,000 red dots on the law enforcement officer that's a traitor that went to go arrest somebody because of January 6th or whatever. And we say, you have a count to 2. And I'm counting right now. 1, you better be running. And then next time, as he's running away, we're telling him, the next time that you betray your oath, we're not counting. 1,000 men can make a difference. 1,000 men. What if 10 million men got together and swore an oath to each other? Do you think that's crazy?
Not at all. And I think it would be millions, actually. There's lots of people that want this to move forward. So there's groups like Tactical Civics. A lot of us have been talking about this for a while. Militia, standing up militia. That's our right under the Constitution. The militias were, pretty much what helped us win the Revolutionary War. Militias, and then stood up an army under Washington and other people. So we have to do that. So the standing militia, they're the ones that conquered, that stopped the redcoats from seizing the arms, so forth. Now we have to do that again. I don't see any other way. So it has to move in that direction. So we're having this conversation. Who's going to start it? Where is it going to start? Is it going to be another Concord type event? I don't know. But we've been speaking this for quite some time. It definitely got to move in this direction.
What do you think? What do you think? Like the top three things that if a man rose up, like a very articulate, charismatic man that was honest, trustworthy, rose up as a leader, what do you think the 3 things that or 3 to 5 things that he would say, this is what has to be? If it was me and I was talking to that guy and saying, listen, these are the things that I think resonate with America, and I would just throw it out to you and just see what you say. The borders are completely sealed. Everyone that's here illegally must leave. We need a cleansing of our nation. No more, like a moratorium on immigration. Nobody's coming out until everyone's gone, and we have secure borders, and we have a mechanism to trace people. 1. 2, all money, all foreign aid ceases. All of it ceases. 3, every single military personnel is brought back to America. All of them. You have strategic 1, 2, 3 strategic places, but even then I'm really skeptical. I don't want any military anyway, because this is a lie that we need places to jump off. No. We can transport 100,000 men and all the machinery within a couple days or a week to 7,000 miles away. We can just do it. We have the mechanism. It's not World War II anymore. Those 3 things, I believe, and the destruction of the Federal Reserve, we're ripping that out. Everything goes back to gold. So those 4 things, do you think any of that is wrong, or would you add, or is there something else that pops to your mind that is different than me?
No, I like the way you're thinking. That's definitely the way things are moving. Now, let's take it to Border Patrol, and not so much Border Patrol, but ICE. Okay. So ICE, along with military, we're seeing some military units like Marine military units are involved in LA. Some of them just went to Florida.
So it seems like things are moving that direction. I and many other military veterans and gentlemen like yourself have been saying that we are in a very difficult situation with all the terrorists that have come into our country and probably are going to be stood up in some form or fashion. So I think the ICE and the military and good law enforcement are in the process of reaching out and grabbing some of those people and getting them out of here. What are your thoughts on that one?
That is happening. So we're seeing the increase in the military. We're seeing right now Donald Trump has put out rehires of former retired ICE and Border Patrol agents. I think that needs to be extended to the military. I think the number one thing, if I had a minute with Donald Trump, is I would say, sir, the very first thing that you need to do if you really believe this is a national security issue, is the urgency is not, I don't see it. So this is what my suggestion would be. You're doing great. I want all those guys hired back as fast as you can, because it's immediate boots on the ground. You don't have to train these guys. They've lived it for decades. They understand. You're just gonna put them back into the flow of things. So you instantly get seasoned veterans on the street. But what has to happen is a former military general, somebody that's been in the theater of war, that knows about facilitating moving bodies, security, all that. He needs to be attached to Tom Homan. And those two men work side by side. And it could be the Army, a general in the Army. I want detention beds erected. I want pathways, avenues to way you move people. I want planes standing at the ready. I'm talking thousands of them that are flying around nonstop. And if they don't want their country back, then we'll find a third nation, quote, a third good nation, and we're going to drop all these people off. And then if we can't, then we're going to house them in Gitmo, or we're going to house them in El Salvador. But they're all getting out of our country. You're going to take all of your JAG, all of your military judges. You're also going to cross-designate lawyers into judges. So you are going to create a mechanism to where, as Tom Homan's arresting by the thousands, as your military special forces is providing security and protection to the ICE officers, and you are going to begin to arrest and move thousands of people a day, and you're going to move them out. You're going to give them, quote, the due process, which is another bull crap. But let's just play this game. They're going to see the judges are going to get removed so rapidly, and by that, you're going to move 50 million people out of our country, along with making it absolutely impossible to move, live, eat, survive in America as an illegal alien.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I like that idea. So yeah, there's definitely some generals that would stand up, and I think you probably need multiple generals in different locations to organize and get that moving. You still have the active duty, and then you could have guys like me, former SEAL Team 6, Delta guys could stand up and could do. We could just be admin. You're still going to have admin, people, and supporting the military guys. So bringing the military back from all the areas where they're not needed. This is where they're needed, right here in America, right here, right now. We have to overcome whatever difficulty there is throughout the country of people pushing back on this. If you want to push back on it in your state, your city, or whatever, that's fine. But the places that do want it and want it to happen, it needs to happen very soon. Like right now. This is a great conversation.
Well, I think the tide's turning, right? So in the way the tide turns, and you know this as well as anybody, it's called force. Meaning I go into a situation like I spent my career in California. I go down in LA, San Francisco, San Diego, wherever. The very first person that breathes on me, the person that gets in my face or touches I'm taking him to the ground as fast as, I don't care if it's a grandma or it's a 20-year-old male. I'm taking them down to the ground as fast as I can. I'm putting their arms behind them, even if I have to break their shoulders, and I'm going to zip tie them as fast as I can, and I'm going to throw them in the back of a wagon. They're going to go away, and they're going to get charged with obstruction of a federal agent, period. And you do that over and over and over and over again, and guess what? They'll disappear. They won't okay, here comes SEAL Team 6, the Delta Force. They're working with Border Patrol, ICE, and now we're going from door to door and we're yanking these people out, all the cartels, all the human smugglers, all of them. And if you get in our way, they're not rubber bullets in there. They're bullets. So you either are going to comply or you're going to get a level of force that could lead up to death. Look, we either have a national security issue or we don't. When people say, well, that's pretty harsh. Okay, hold on one second. I just told you that the federal government admitted to 18 million people crossed the border. Let's look inside that number. We only know what 12 million are. The 6 million were getaways, admitted getaways from the federal government, or the government flew in. I know it's going to be hard to believe this. The federal government chartered planes or allowed people to fly into our international airports and release them into America by the millions. Your government did that. Inside the 12 million that we know of, over 200,000 special interest aliens, those are called terrorists, were arrested and released into America. 200,000. Let's say that all of these terrorists came to Muhammad, like came to Jesus and said, I'm converting. I'm a Christian now. I believe in peace and love, as all the stupid pastors preach about Jesus Christ. 99% of them. You have 2,000 terrorists left over. 2,000. You're okay with that? 2,000 of them? And we know that all the Mohammeds and the people from the Sudan and all that, they're not coming to Jesus. They believe solely what Muhammad said, and they're going to come and kill us. Look, you have Sean Ryan interviewing people that are saying there's at least 1,500 Al-Qaeda. Absolutely. I'm telling you, as a guy that lived it, the guy that got all the videos and all the pictures from everybody across the border, standing me going, JJ, look at this. Look at this group. Look at this group of 1,000 men. Look at this group of 1,000 men living on our border. In my documentary, I walked the same place that I shed blood and tears on that border to secure it, where we just relinquished it to these men from India, from the Middle East, from Africa, Muslims, single adult, military-age men, by the hundreds that I saw, by the thousands. And you're telling me that you're okay with 200,000 special interest aliens, and I will get in front of Congress, or I'll get in front of anyone, and I'll swear on my research, my career, and my house and my mortgage, that number 200,000 is so embarrassing. It's over 1 million people, 1 million terrorists. You have over 100,000 PLA soldiers identified out of the 200,000+ Chinese nationals that crossed the border in 4 years. In 4 years, 200,000 Chinese nationals crossed the border. Let me try to put that into context for you. The last year of Donald Trump's administration, the United States Border Patrol arrested 1,940 Chinese nationals. We arrested over 200,000 in 4 years. We are the most vulnerable we have ever been in the history of the United States of America, and our federal government did it on purpose. They did it intentionally, they did it strategically to fundamentally transform the United States of America. How do you change? How do you fundamentally transform any nation? Well, you ask the CIA how they do it through all the countries on the globe that they have destroyed. And the first thing you do is you create chaos. And then you have immense propaganda, and then you change the demographics of that nation. And now we have 50 million illegal aliens in America. That's 1 in 6 to 1 in 7 residents in America is illegal alien, and they reproduce at a 2 to 5 times the rate of our natural born American women. In fact, American women are not even reproducing at the replacement level. So now this becomes a simple math problem, and we lose. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like the way that I speak. You don't have to like the fact that I'm a big, strong white man and you hate white guys. Fine. You can hate everything about me, but you cannot deny everything that I have said today is factually true. And everything I'm telling you that is going to happen will happen. I had a very interesting interview 3 days ago by a Catholic priest. And he asked me something no one's ever asked me. And he said, have you been sued yet? Have you received any cease and desist orders on them, on these really very, very dramatic accusations that you've made? And I said, I have not had one. And do you know why, Father? Because everything that I have said is cited. And it is based on my experience. It is based on my extensive research, and everything that I have said, and I put it in books. I've been in front of Congress. I have done 2 documentaries. So I'm not hiding. Everything that I have said has become factually validated. And now the question is, how many Americans will listen to men like me? Or are you just going to ignore me and say, that will never happen? Okay. You want a visual picture of what's going to happen to America? Like, you want to see something in real time? Then why don't you go look at Belgium, France, Germany, England? Go look at the Western European nations, except Poland and Hungary, that took no illegals in. That is what's waiting for us, America. That is what Dearborn, Michigan, parts of Texas, that's what's waiting for you, America. Our population is dying. Our population is being completely overhauled, and the Democrats did this to America, and the Republicans funded it because the Republicans are gutless. They're impotent, pathetic bastards. Speaker Johnson, John Thune, Mitch McConnell, all of them. They're gutless. They're impotent. They're everything that men like me and you hate in our world, because we're in a world of alphas.
Yeah, we look back in 2008, Mumbai, 10 guys for 3 days walked the city, killing 200, I think it was 258 people, 300 injured. I was working in Pakistan during that time frame. We were predicting that was going to come, and it did. So I'm doing the same thing. I predicted that attack would come. I'm predicting dozens and dozens and dozens of attacks like that will come to America. I've been saying it for a little while now. So yeah, we need the military to come back. We need people to stand up. We need to do it now. They're doing it quietly, but it's guys like us, speaking out and saying we need to stop waiting. We need to do this. We need to make it happen. And Sean Ryan, like you talk about, has been on his show. He said experts. I've worked with some of those CIA experts. I worked for the CIA. We were all saying these types of attacks were coming to America, and we're there. So, JJ, fantastic, show, great insights. You pulled out all the stops. I'm so proud of you, man. Good job. So we need more people speaking out. We don't need more. We are past. We need more. This has to happen. So thanks so much for speaking out. And of course, people can get your books on Amazon. And tell us that website one more time.
The best place to go for anything is just go to jjcarrol.com.
Okay.
jjcarrol.com has all my links to my shows, all my documentaries and books. But I appreciate you allowing me to speak passionately the way I want to and the way I believe. And I would like to leave just on this note. I want your audience not to believe anything that I said. I want you to absolutely deny everything I say and go fact check everything. And you're going to be shocked when you do that it's factually the truth. And if anything today, I know this is going to be a hard statement to even wrap your brain around, that everything that you and I discussed today was understated. Understated. That's how frightening it is what's happened to America. And we allowed it, the United States American men allowed this to happen. We allowed mental patients, we allowed people that should be on lithium and put out to the far corners of our society in the dark behind curtains to never be seen again. We allowed them to run our country. And we sat by silently because we wanted to keep our friends on Facebook and X. And now we are living in a world that we allowed to be created. So thank you.
Well, thank you, JJ, and look forward to some resolution on this. The only way, like we talked about, is if we stand up and do this stuff now. So the clarion calls out. Let's start the tactical civics. Let's get it going.
Thank you.
Thank you.